in this session, we're going to do some current events financial math. We're going to look at the impact on returns when the capital gains tax rate is increased by 8.8%. As you probably know, the tax rate now on capital gains is at its maximum 15%. But President Obama has said that if he's reelected, that starting in 2013, he's going to push to have the capital gains marginal rate increased to 20%. And already embedded in Obamacare, starting in 2013, is a 3.8% addition. Now, what that is the payroll tax, which is going to be starting to be applied to investment income, specifically on dividends and on capital gains. It's both the employee and the employer portion of what people now ordinarily pay as part of their payroll taxes. Okay, so total capital gains will then go to 23.8% if President Obama gets his way, a difference of 8.8%. Now the question we're going to look at is, what does that 8.8% do to bottom line after-tax capital gains? Some people say, well, it's got to be 8.8 because the number is 8.8. Other people say stuff like it's less than 8.8 because it just gets applied to capital gains. I don't quite understand that logic. And other people get the right answer, which is it's a greater impact than 8.8. Let's work through an example. Let's pretend that we bought a stock for $750. We'll call that the cost basis of the stock. And it's $750. And let's say that right now the market value of that stock is $1,000. So it's gone up in price. That means that we have an unrealized capital gain of the difference between our cost basis and the current value of $250. If we sell the stock, what happens? Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to pay capital gains taxes. At a rate of currently 15%. So if I do the arithmetic right, that says we've got to pay $37.50 in taxes. So we realize out of that $212.50 of after-tax gain. Note that the $212.50 is 85% of the $250. It's simply the inverse of the tax rate, 1 minus the tax rate. Okay, now let's look at what happens in 2013. Well, we're going to take the same case, so we've still got $1,000. Our cost basis is still $750, so our nominal gain is still $250, but now we've got to pay 23.8% in capital gains taxes. Doing the multiplication, that works out to be, let's see, $59.50. Giving us an after-tax gain of $190.50. Which, 1 minusing our 23.8% tax rate, gives us an after-tax realization percent of 76.2%. Okay, now let's calculate our percentages of impact. What we know is that we initially had $212.50. We know that after the tax change, when it gets bumped up by 8.8%, we'll get $190.50. The difference between those two, the delta, equals $22, which, divided by our initial starting value to 1250 gives us 10.35%. So what has happened is our 8.8% increase, when we run the numbers, really results in a reduction of our after-tax realized gains of over 10%. Let me just add one more thing. Notice we have these realization percentages of 85% and 76.2%. By definition of these things, the difference between these two guys is the 8.8% that we started with, which, if you divide by 85%, our starting point here, gives us our 10.35%. So that's the magic of financial math. We've been able to take as a number that sounds pretty bad when you start, 8.8%, and demonstrate how its real impact on us in terms of bottom line profitability is over 10%.